What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with IndustrialCraft 2. And today, guys, we're going to be messing around with the nuclear reactor yet again. So if you guys remember from last time we messed around with it, which was a couple episodes ago, we had just started setting it up and we did what I would consider to be a pretty simple setup for it. It only got a 60 EU per tick and it really didn't show off how effective the nuclear reactor can be. It was a little bit expensive to set up, but we only used 3 reactor chambers, meaning we only got 6 of the 9 possible columns you can have in the reactor to work with. So what we're going to be doing today is actually upgrading it to get us 420 EU per tick. Along with that, we're going to be using all 9 of the possible columns, meaning that we have to make 3 other reactor chambers for it and throw those on there. And we're also going to be using a lot of upgraded parts like the overclocked heat vents, the component heat exchangers, and the component heat vents. So that's a lot of different stuff that we need to make, and it's a little bit annoying because our inventory space is not going to be nearly enough since a lot of these components won't stack. And the reason behind that is because, of course, they have a durability. Because if they get to a certain heat, they will deteriorate and just blow up, disappear, whatever you want to call it, and then in turn our reactor will blow up and our base will blow up. So that's never going to happen with the reactors I set up. They're all going to be able to passively cool themselves, but the problem is even if they haven't been touched at all, they still have a technical durability, so they can't stack, which means that we have to open up our inventory as much as possible, meaning I am going to dump all of this stuff in this chest and I will worry about it later. What else can we throw in here? We can throw this in there a little bit. The rest of the stuff should be able to stay in our inventory for the time being, and still not going to be enough room, but we can start crafting. So the basic machine casing and these lead plates right here are just going to simply go into the reactor chambers. Like I said, we need 3 more. That'll total 6, and of course that's going to cover every side of it. We couldn't get more on there if we wanted to, and that will max out the columns you get at 9. Then the next thing we're going to be using, and I'm just going to pull this out now, is insulated gold cable. This is good for 512 EU per tick, which is great because we're going to be getting 420, which is a lot higher than the 128 insulated copper cable can give. So we're going to upgrade that just to move it from there to make sure we're getting the maximum speed that we possibly can. So this is where things get a little bit complicated because we had the initial setup in the previous episode, and that used a couple of the beginner components of this that you can have. So we had the heat exchangers, we had the heat vents, if you guys remember, and these were a little bit annoying to craft, but now we're going to be using these overclocked heat vents and stuff, and that actually uses a reactor heat vent, which is made from a heat vent and a lot of copper plate. So of course I went through and crafted all of this stuff, but rather than making I believe we're going to need 28 of these, I actually factored in a lot of the components that we already have downstairs. So what we're going to do is we're going to head down here, we're going to turn this thing off and take a lot of these components out. And you can see that we haven't even made it through our first full set of fuel rods. Unfortunately, these are about halfway depleted, but you can see that we're getting power in this thing. We're at 25 millibuckets. It's going strong. That's almost enough to make a diamond. Diamonds will be 35 of them. But that doesn't factor in the cost that it's going to be to actually scan the diamond, which is almost 1 million EU. So what we're going to do, I'm going to leave these fuel rods in here for now because I don't have my hazmat suit on, but we're going to pull out these heat vents specifically, and I guess we can take the heat exchangers with us if we have the room. Okay, so we have just barely enough room, and going to go back upstairs, and it's a little bit unfortunate, like I said, but what we can do is we can actually throw this stuff back in here for the time being and grab out all of this copper. And I can throw this cable back in there too. So that should be enough to upgrade each one of these heat vents, which it's going to be a little bit annoying to make because they don't stack. So I kind of got to go through all these and like click them. So it's just like click, click, click. But I wanted to do all of this on camera like I always do to give you guys a sense of how much it's actually going to cost to make all of these. So go through and there's a lot that we have to do for this, unfortunately. The setup is really big, and of course, as you upgrade and get to 9 columns, using all 6 of the reactor chambers, it starts to cost a lot more to actually do. And why am I short? I guess we must use this copper somewhere else. Huh. I feel like I'm short on these. I made a lot more copper than I need then, I guess. I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, you know what? I actually think I need to make more. I think that's what this is for right here. Okay, so I think I need to make more of these. I'm actually going to make another chest, and what we're going to do is we're going to dump a lot of these parts downstairs after we make them. And this chest should be enough to cover that. So we'll take this chest down here, and we'll throw it right over here, and we'll just dump all these parts in here. And that should be 16, I believe. Yeah, so that should be 16. And then we're going to need to make a couple more. So we need to make 23 more. That can't be right. That cannot be right. Huh, okay, let's see what else we have to make. So the component, oh, we use more heat vents for this, so the component heat vent. Okay, so that's what it was. Okay, so these, pretty simple setup here. It is a little bit confusing because these also aren't going to stack very well. So that's unfortunate too. These are definitely not going to fit in our inventory, but let's get all these through here. This uses up a lot of iron. I had to let the miner go for a really long time while I was getting this set up so that I could actually have this iron. That's why I have a bunch of millibuckets of that stuff downstairs, is because I was on here AFK for such a long time. Okay, so now we have that. Let's make the component heat vents because these are a little bit faster to make. So let's dump the copper back in here, and we're gonna need 11 of these. So where's the stuff that we're going to use to make those? I think this is the tin plating and the iron bars. So it'd be a lot nicer if I could auto-craft these, but unfortunately auto-crafting is not really a thing right now for us. So yes, but okay. Oh, what? Oh, okay, glitched out. I thought we got lucky there and could like shift click it in, but it's just that the thing filled our inventory so fast we couldn't do it. Okay, so slowly but surely we will get all these turned, and then once we have 11 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. Okay, so we got 11 there. We're going to dump these back downstairs. We'll finish off the other ones. I apologize that there's so much crafting. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you guys don't like all this crafting. I know it can get a little bit boring, but back in the immersive engineering days, people would always request that I did crafting on camera, partially because I don't know if people thought, like, I don't know. I don't know what people thought. Whether they thought I was, like, cheating stuff in or they wanted to see it, I don't know. I hold nothing against you either way, if you, like, whichever one you thought. But, oh, you know what? We don't need to turn all these. This copper is going to be used for other stuff, too, I believe. What? What? Does this one... Oh, does that have to go back in there? Oh, it's not fully cooled, is it? Oh, I don't think I can turn it because it's not fully cooled. So I think I have to put it back in there and let it get some of the heat out of it and then finish it off. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, I think we got to do that. Okay, let's pick it up. Let's see if this is the issue. Let's explore. So let's see if these need to be fully down on the heat before they actually... So I put this in there, and there we go. So it let out its heat. And now we can go back upstairs. I wasn't sure if I'd have to turn that on or not to actually get the heat out of it, which it kind of would have been unfortunate because I still had stuff in there. Okay, so there we go. So we got more of those, and now we need to make some more of the overclocked heat vents, which is more gold on top of that. So I don't even know if that's, I think we need the rest of this gold too. So we'll continue doing this. This is like the whole video right here, guys. Should have told you to get your snacks. Okay, so we got the overclocked heat vents coming in. Lots of these. And I guess then we get to go make the quad uranium fuel rods. I processed a lot of uranium. I had to go mining specifically for uranium just so that I could process it. So hopefully these are correct. I feel like I made a little bit too much of certain things in here, or I'm forgetting something. I know this copper right here is for the fuel cells, or fuel rods, and then this right here is for something I don't remember what it was for. I really don't. Okay, so I know we need to make the component heat exchanger. We need one of those, so that's where this is going to go, and that's 4. I don't know where the other 60 was, what that was for. If I find out what it was for, or the system blows up, then we know what it was for, but if not, these are just going to get to chill up here for the time being. We're going to grab this stuff, and we need to throw on the hazmat suit so we can do some crafting. So let's get this stuff out of here, and let us throw this on. So we got to take our jetpack off, the helmet off, and let's get our fuel rods out of here. So I got 37. It might be a little bit hard to see because of their durability, but we need to craft 7 of these. So iron plates go up the center, copper goes on the side, and then we split these up like so, and then we can make 7 of them, just like that, and we have a couple left over that we can throw back in there. I did process a lot. This, again, used a ton of iron to make. Not a ton, actually, I should say, but we're going to take, actually, no, we'll keep this on while we're working with this. Okay, so that should be everything, I think. So we're going to go downstairs now, finally, and we can start working. So it's going to become daytime again, and this thing's going to start firing, which really annoys me. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the sticky resin out of here. We're going to sleep, and then we're going to throw this in the recycler, because I am all about recycling. All about recycling. Okay. Haha, you think you've bested me. Well, we have enough rubber, so you're going to get recycled. Okay. So this stuff can go in the recycler. And these can now get pulled out of here. It's now safe to take them out. And we can start building this. Okay, so I'm probably going to timestamp this right at the beginning of the video if you want to skip the crafting so that you guys could jump here because it took a while to get here. But essentially what we're going to do, and this is kind of a random setup, but it is seen as one of the best setups, or one of the better setups. It's not the best. There's a lot of better fuels you can use, but it's really good because it's passive. And you don't need to do anything. There's no coolant involved. There's no nothing. And I'm already setting this up wrong. I need to put these reactor chambers on here first. So we need to break this lever on the top so that we can actually place a reactor chamber down there. You got to shift click because you actually can access it from any of these sides. So we can access it from here right now. Let's take a snack real quick. In hindsight, I should have eaten this to open up a free slot in my inventory, but whatever. So we'll throw the lever back down over here. We want to turn it on, and we can access it from any side. So to start out, we're going to put in the uranium fuel rod. So we got one there, then go down 2, over 2, place another one, down 2, over 1, place this one, then there's one over 2, and there's another one over 2. Then you go up 2, place that one, and that. So that is where the fuel rods are. Very random setup, okay? Very random. But if you need to, you can pause the video and look at it. The whole idea is that we need to disperse the heat using these overclocked heat vents. So, time for some statistics. The overclocked heat vents will dissipate, or they'll move 36 heat from the reactor to themselves and dissipate 20 heat. So they can overheat very easily, which is why you want to make sure that that's not happening, because they only have an internal buffer of 1,000 heat and then they're gone. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but you know, you got to work around that. Then the component heat vents, which we will also be using, there's a couple less of them. Those are going to be able to dissipate 4 heat from the surrounding components. Along with that, we're also going to be using one component heat exchanger, which will transfer up to 36 heat from the adjacent components from each one, but it doesn't transfer any heat with the reactor itself. So just keep that in mind a little bit. I will again link the wiki, which is where I got all that information from, in the description like I did with the other video. So now it's time to start putting in these overclocked heat vents. So we're going to start right here, and we're going to do, it looks like a little bit of a staircase pattern, and we're just going to kind of drag these down all the way until we get to here. So there we stop, and then we're going to surround this one on the sides like this, and then we're going to start working our way back up, and we can grab, oh my gosh guys, I just figured out what all the gold was for. That was for these are only reactor heat vents, they're not the overclocked ones. Time to go upgrade these. Oh my gosh, you guys were probably cringing that whole time. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. I just realized, I literally cut the video because I was like, what are these for? And then I realized what they were for. Oh my gosh, okay. Quick upgrades on these, and then we can go back down. Then we can start back up again. That was my bad on that one, guys. Just, I can just see it now that you guys go down and have already commented what I was screwing up while I was screwing it up. I mean, it's nothing really screwed up. It's not even like, don't cry over spilled milk. Like, we didn't spill any milk yet. It was just kind of like, like we just forgot a crafting step. That was horrible. Okay, so now we get to finish off with these. So we left off right here, and again we're going to be doing a little bit of a staircase pattern, and we are just going to go up and over. So we got that, and now again we're just going to make sure that this one is surrounded over here, and then we get to come down here and surround this one in the same way. We get to start doing another little bit of a staircase pattern, as I would consider it. So we go like this, and then we need to make sure we got one below this, and then we are going to put one more, and it's going to go right here, and that is it. So we just used all 28 of the overclocked heat vents. They're in there a little bit random again, but the only one that's actually not fully surrounded by these is right here. And to actually work around that, we are going to start putting in the component heat vents, which are few and far between compared to the other ones, but we're going to be putting one here, two here, which are going to transfer from that, one here. A lot of it is just filling in the empty space. One thing that was also brought to my attention is when you have a lot of this empty space in here, which we're not gonna have a ton of it, but we're gonna have a little bit of empty space in this system. What you can do with that is put reactor plating in there, and that'll kind of prevent a meltdown, or it'll slow the process down. Last but not least, we're going to put this component heat exchanger right up here, and this is crucial. Remember this component heat exchanger. This thing will actually melt down, blow up, get destroyed, all of the above if you don't remember this component heat exchanger. It is crucial. So now this system should actually be good to go. We're going to flip it on, and you can see outputting 420 EU per tick, core temperature sitting at 0. We'll have to see if it actually fluctuates a little bit, but what we can do now is quickly flip it off, and we're going to transfer some of this cable to insulated gold cable. And there's no great way to get over here right now, but we're just going to mess around with this one right here because we want to make sure that this can transfer that in there. We are not getting 128 plus EU from up there, so we're going to leave that copper cable, and I think this setup should work. So don't quote me on it, because I'm not sure how these cables interact when you start intertwining them without having a machine or something in between them, or a transformer or something. But I think this should just put 128 max in there, and then this should be 512. But it should not exceed that, because this plus the windmills are not exceeding 512. And then most of that is going to go here, and we don't need more than 128 going up here to the recycler. So I believe just putting 2 there should be good. Eventually, I will make this all into the insulated gold cable, and mainly just because we're going to upgrade the windmills eventually, or the kinetic wind generators, whatever you want to call them. But if we flip this on, this should go a lot faster now, and that's without scrap. You can see the process is going up a lot faster. And from all of these, from this total thing right here, we should be able to get 84 million EU, I believe, which is pretty darn awesome. So I will keep this running and see how things work out. And in the future episodes, we will come back and continue upgrading this, because there are a lot of different things that we can do with this using coolant and making it a lot better. But you can see that these are transferring heat. They're getting back up. Nothing is getting, fully depleted. Some things are being used a little bit more than others, like these ones. I'm always jumping to these ones to make sure they're not jumping down too much, but it seems like things are going good in here. So if you guys have any questions about this setup, feel free to post them in the comments. If you found the video useful in any way or entertaining in any way, as always, feel free to give it a like. It really does help me out a lot, and it lets me know I'm doing something right. I also want to say thank you really quick to all of you who have been super great in the comments giving feedback. It's always great when you guys give feedback. It helps me out a lot, as I am still learning this mod, and a lot of you guys actually know it better than me. Surprisingly, it's not actually surprising, but a lot of you guys know it better than me and help me out a lot. So I want to say truly thank you for that. It makes it a lot more enjoyable for me. And yeah, I guess that's where we're going to call it for today, guys. So I will talk to you guys later.